Y'all hold on. This one might get a little rough. So I'm over here tonight in Gretna, Nebraska. And there is nothing going on. This place is where boredom goes to die. Anyways, I've been noticing a trend on social media and talking to certain people and whatnot. And there seems to be a current trend in the trucking community, as with the employment community, that I'm starting to find a little disturbing. Everybody wants the perfect job. I'm here to tell you, it doesn't exist. But there are ways you can make your job into a good job. Here's a few. Let's have some perspective. I've worked for several trucking companies over the last 21 years, and not one of them has been perfect. I've had some really good jobs, I'm not going to lie. One or two, I kind of regret quitting. I've had good jobs that have gone bad. And that's a video and a story for another day, and I may have done a video about that before anyways. But everybody wants a perfect job. They want a job that's perfect. Well, what they're really saying is they want a job that's tailored around them. That's not going to work. But if you do the job right and you do the job correct, you can make it into a pretty good job. It all starts with your attitude. Now, I'm not implying that you have a bad attitude. Don't get me wrong. But what got me thinking about this was there was a guy on social media that was complaining. My company is getting all automatic trucks. I don't know, man. I may have to bounce. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You've got a good job. You're making a good paycheck. You're a company driver, so you've got zero skin in the game. You've got zero input. And you're going to quit because your boss is buying you a new truck? You don't want to drive an automatic? Let me tell you where the myth of automatics comes from. Now, trust me, truthfully, they still have their problems. So do sticks, but not like automatics. But let me tell you where all the hate comes from. It comes from a long time ago with auto shifts. The auto shifts from back in the day were absolute junk. I'm not even going to argue that. The first ones they had with the clutch, and then it would shift, and then the second ones they had, the second gen with no clutch, but it was still computer controlled. They were absolute hot garbage. Actually, they weren't hot garbage because they never worked long enough to get warm. But today's new automatics are a heck of a lot better. And truthfully, yeah, you do see some have their problems, and they have little hiccups here and there, but for the most part, a lot of them are really good now. But back to my point, why would you quit a job over something as trivial as this? If you're making good money, your runs aren't going to change. You know, your pay's not going to change. In fact, it might even go up. You know, with today's economy right now, driver pay is at an all-time high. I mean, seriously. I'm making more money now than I ever have in my entire life, which kind of frightens me. But when you start putting things in perspective, it kind of changes the whole parameter. You can't have perfection, because perfection is different for everyone. So I was talking to a buddy of mine who's an owner-operator and owns several trucks. And he's selling several trucks. And I said, why? He says, I can't find drivers to put in them. I was like, you can't? He says, oh, I could find guys to put in them. He says, but when it's time to go to work, they sit there and talk about wanting to make this money. He says, I can't get them to work. I can't get them to show up. I can't get them to, you know, be where they're supposed to be. He says, I just can't do it. They want to drive the hood. They want the big money. They want all the super trucker stuff that goes along with it. But they don't want to put forth the effort. Well, let me tell you something, coming from a former super trucker. There's a lot of effort put in it. And it's, yeah. When the boss is footing the bill, you really need to, you got to help the boss. And I'll explain this. Now, helping the boss doesn't mean you're a sellout. One thing that company drivers fail to understand that these trucks are very expensive to operate. If the boss has a plan, he hired you to make him money. That's the long and short of it. People hire employees to do work to make themselves money. And if the employees do a good job, they get a fraction of that money. That's how that works. Everybody, that's business. That's business 101 right there. So when the boss hires you to do a job, you have agreed by coming to work there, you have agreed to do his work. As long as it's in a safe and legal manner, you know. But I'm running into too many of these guys that they're wanting a whole lot and they're not putting out. So what do I mean by helping the boss? Well, you've got to protect the boss. Sounds kind of funny. Why would I protect the boss? The boss needs to protect me. Well, yes and no. The boss needs to protect you with good equipment, good working conditions, everything required by law. You need to help the boss by being the best employee you can be, because these runs and things in the trucking industry are flaky. They are real flaky right now. So if you can give good service, good performance, and watch out the customers and try to do your best, you're not just protecting the boss, you're protecting your job, because these runs can go away. If you irritate a customer enough, they will go somewhere else and probably get it hauled cheaper in this market. That's the sad reality of it. You don't have enough latitude as a company driver to dictate what goes on in the company's head. It doesn't, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And I'll tell you a story about that. Years ago, I kind of had a simplistic attitude of what was going on in dispatch. And with my last company, I couldn't understand why they were making some of the stuff they were doing was just dumb. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff they were doing was dumb. A lot of times it was ego and backbiting, and it was just inner office. It was just, a lot of times it was stupidity. But a lot of times, when you understand the context behind the stupidity, it made sense. I went into the training department and basically was a part-time office nut. Well, not really part-time, but I had a lot more access to the office and dispatch and all that. And I got a little peek at what goes on inside that office, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now, it's like nothing like you thought. It's a whole different world there. These people, the problem that we were having was these people in the office were completely insulated from what was going on in the real world. And apparently the job was so miserable that at 5 o'clock, you could literally watch everybody run as fast as they could out to their cars. We used to laugh because by 5:02, the parking lot was empty. But what they were doing was they insulated the drivers from the dispatchers and the load planners behind locked doors, and you couldn't get to them. You couldn't talk to them. It was either through the Qualcomm. It got to the point it was either through the Qualcomm or through a phone call, provided you could even get a hold of them. And that was a problem. So one of the ways you can make your job better is to understand that. I found out that the dispatchers had no control over the loads. I remember when the realization hit at this particular company, they'd be sitting back to back to each other and emailing each other. They wouldn't even turn around and talk. It got that diluted there. I got a phone call from who I thought was my dispatcher at the time, and he said, "Where are you?" I was like, "I'm on this run." I said, "How could you forget? You sent me here." He says, "I didn't send you here." He said, "The load planners took all of you guys, scattered y'all, and didn't tell anybody what was going on. They dispatched you, and I'm sitting here trying to spend a day trying to figure out where all my drivers are at." Oh. Thankfully, the company I'm with now doesn't do that. It is regional dispatch, but I can actually make a phone call and talk to a real person. But when it comes to dispatchers, I'm going to tell you a little truth. If you're going to be in this business anytime at all, you're going to learn something real quick. You're going to outlive almost all of your dispatchers. Not physically, but you're going to go. In 21 years, I've been through dozens. You know, they come, they go, you're still here. So, what does all this have to do with making your job good? Well, like I said earlier, it comes down to attitude, but it also comes down to understanding the function of how the other side lives. It's not personal. The good job doesn't exist, or no, good jobs exist, but most of the time when people, like I said, when people are searching for the perfect job, what they're really wanting is a job that's going to tailor around what they want. Sad reality, it doesn't exist. You're gonna have, there's gonna be some give and take, and as a driver, we're gonna be on the losing end every time. That's the way it is. But there are things you can do to minimize this. And here's a few. First of all, getting mad and yelling over the phone at your dispatcher is gonna get you hung up, it's gonna get you ignored. Don't yell at him. Don't scream at him, don't throw fits. Attitude equals altitude. If you sit there and make this personal, yell, scream, bitch, and moan, chances are they're going to give you the first POS load on their board to just get you out of there. They don't want to deal with you. They have more respectful, better people to deal with. That's the first thing. Your attitude. Well, how you deal with these people, it's going to say a lot. If you have a good attitude, you're going to get better loads. You're going to get better customer service. You're going to have a better rapport with your dispatchers. And truthfully, if they like you, they're going to throw you a little more gravy more often than you realize. And, okay, so that's one. Here's number two. Don't be one of those guys that threatens to quit every week. If you're sitting there taking it personally, and you're sitting there making a pest out of yourself, and you're talking about quitting, you know, I could just find another job. I was looking for a job and I found this job. In this market, they're going to be like, then clean out your truck. You know, clean out your truck or go to work. We don't care. Fact of the matter is, they don't care. You know, I wish I had more to this, but they don't care. You know, you're hired to do a particular job. If you're not going to do it, somebody else will. I'm making really good money here, but I'll tell you right now, if I wasn't here making good money, somebody else would be right here making good money. So, hey, don't be one of those guys that threatens to quit every week. One of the things I've noticed in dealing with the shop, I've had trouble with shops. I'm very particular about my truck, and I'm the one spending the bills, so I can afford to be. If you're a company driver, don't worry about what they do with the truck. It's their truck. So if you sit there and complain and moan and all this, and if it's something legit, that's different. If it's something safety related, that's different. You know, if you're working for a bottom barrel garbage company that's not going to fix something, guys, get out of there. Let those guys hire the other bottom feeders and work your way into a good job. They're out there. But if they're wanting to do things to your truck that you don't approve of, but it's not your truck, guys, let it go. Don't worry about what they're doing with their truck. Well, it's costing me money. No, it's costing them money. You might lose a little bit in your run, but you know, if they're paying for a hotel room and they're paying you breakdown pay, which most companies are now, it's not a big deal. So if it's not your truck, don't worry about it. Drive that truck. Make some money with that truck. Put your ego aside, and I guarantee you that you're gonna have a lot better experience of where you're at. Now, one of the more interesting things I've found out that will get you the furthest, and this sounds sounds bad, is your personal appearance. If you know you're going to the head shed, Make sure you're showered, shaved, clean clothes. Wear shoes, for heaven's sakes, guys. Don't wear sweatpants and flip-flops to the office. Dress respectably. You know, if you show yourself to be clean with a little bit of pride and how self-aware and trying to look your best, especially when you're in the head shed, it'll go a long ways, because that's how they'll remember you. They'll be, you know, would you like, hey, he came in, he did his job, blah, 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 blah. They may not even notice your clothes. But here's what's going to happen if you walk in there filthy and dirty. They're going to be like, he come in reeking, filthy, nasty, and they're not even going to remember what the whole conversation was about, because all they're going to be concentrating on is, this guy was a pig. Don't give them that impression. Keep your equipment clean, but more importantly, especially at customers, and when you go to the shop, or when you go to the main office, or you're going to deal with office staff, put your best foot forward. That by far will get you a long ways in the company. One of the last things I'm going to talk about is money. If your checks aren't bouncing and you're getting a good rate, don't ever sit there and complain about what the boss does with his money. Don't do that. I heard an old mobster one time say that his dad was the John Gotti of the 50s. He said, always be the last one to speak and never form a judgment. It'll save your life. He was not wrong. Always be the last one to speak. If you don't like how the boss is spending his money, it's not up to you. Like I said earlier, the boss hires people to run his business to make him money so he can do the things he wants to do. It's the American dream. Everybody wants what everybody wants. And I'll guarantee you, the majority of you are in that position, you'd be doing the same thing as the boss. So I don't want to hear it. But I always ask people when they complain, and I say, are your paychecks bouncing? Well, no. You got your fuel cards turned off? Well, no. You making money? Well, yeah. Don't worry about it. Stay out of what other people are doing. Mind your P's and Q's. Be the last guy to speak. Don't pass judgment on anybody, because I'll tell you what, every business I've ever worked in has narcs, and they will run back and tell them anything they want because they think they're building points. I have no idea why. Yeah, don't try to build points. The best way you can build points at your company is just do your job efficiently, and eventually you'll make a good name for yourself. And a good name is one of the most important things you can have. So what am I getting at? Well, you're probably wondering, how does this make a job better? The better job starts with you, man. The guys I know that sit there, and I've known guys like this over the years, I see them at every job, to sit there and want to force everything and push everything and bend everything to their will. Even if they last, their job is never fulfilling. They never make it. It's always short. It's always short. Somebody's always screwing them. It's always this, it's always that. Your attitude. Your attitude equals altitude. And if you're going to be in this business, you're going to have to realize that you're dealing with people. So how do you make this job good? You start by having a good attitude. That's it. You can't control a lot of things out here, and if you're a company driver, you can control even less. So to make the job good, you start with what you can control, and that starts with you. So if you can control that, you can eventually start to know people, start to network, and eventually people will know your worth. A good name is very important. You want to be anonymous, because people will only know you for your work. That's the important thing. You don't want to be known for anything else. Be anonymous, put in your time, be friendly, and I guarantee you the work will come. And the work will come well. Yeah, I've been a stinker at a few jobs, and I paid for it. And I've learned this lesson the hard way. So it's just some food for thought. if you're judging your current job by an impossible set of standards, you're never going to make it. That's a hard, sad truth. Your job is your job. It's not personal. But if you can get through that and understand what I'm trying to say here, you can make your job really good. It doesn't have to be a horrible place. I've worked horrible jobs, trust me. Even my worst trucking job was better than a lot of the other Joe jobs I've worked. It all comes down to what are you willing to do. You're out here to make money. We're all out here to make money. I've said that before. We're not out here for funsies. You know, if you want to make money, it's work. But if you put in the work, you're going to get rewarded. You know, and if your job is not working out, there's no shame in that. But make sure the job is not working out. If the job is not working out, make sure it's the job and not you. Sometimes people aren't a good fit, but sometimes people just want what they want and they don't understand how to get it. They think if they do a series of lateral moves or whatever, they're going to find the perfect job. It doesn't work that way. Never has, never will. And when I see guys do that, all they end up doing is digging a hole for themselves. So, I want you guys to be happy. I want you guys to be successful. Even in this current state with high fuel prices and all that, there's still a lot of money being made. I want you to remember that. This, you know, too many guys are in a race to the bottom right now, but you don't have to be racing. Just look around. There's a lot of money to be made, and I'm proof of it. So, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, man. Keep your head up. You know, enjoy life, and you know, come on out. It's not that bad. I guarantee if you change your attitude about your job and you really start looking at the positives, it's going to be a whole lot better for you out here. There's a lot of money to be made, and there's a lot of fun to be had. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you next video.